Hi again then guys, and welcome to probably one of the most unnecessary tune setups I've done in GT Sport so far, because this is for, of course, the new and fairly exclusive Gr4 Supra with the Nürburgring 24-hour livery. And if you've driven the car already, you know that it actually handles very well, which is great because you cannot tune the diff. So if it was a bad handling car, you'd be stuck with that. So it's a good job that it is good. But with that being said, even with, as you can see, no advantage for weight or power, I've still made it faster. In fact, it's about 0.6 of a second quicker than it already was. So a pretty significant margin considering that you've got no advantages at all in terms of the spec sheet. Likewise with the tyres, no advantage there either. I did the stock lap on hards and I did this lap on hards, so once again I do occasionally have people ask me why do I do these tunes on hard tyres. The reason why is very simple. I've said it before, but briefly, if you build a car on soft tyres and it has to rely on those to be good, if you're in a lobby and you have to use hards for some reason, then the car could be trash. Whereas if you make the car on hard tyres to begin with, then softs will be even better. So it's kind of a fail-safe way of doing things. As far as traction control, that is turned off. As you can see, that's down to you. I have not adjusted the brake balance. I almost never do, to be honest. As far as the ride height, we've got a little bit of a difference between the front and the back. 75mm on the front, 80mm on the back. For the frequency, they are stock 2.8. The anti-roll, I believe, is also stock with a 7 and 4, 56 on the compression, which I believe was a slight increase, if I recall correctly, 85 on the rebound. I have changed the camber a little bit on the front in particular, 2.5 degrees to the 3 degrees on the rear. We've got neutral toe. I have not adjusted the downforce on this one because I wanted it to be, again, a more accurate comparison to the stock one without any advantage or disadvantage in that way. So you can increase the downforce if you want to and see what kind of difference that makes. And of course you could lower it if you're on a track where you need a bit more top-end speed and top-end acceleration. You cannot tune the diff, as I said. And it's great that it's already a good handling car. And as far as finally the gearbox, you don't necessarily have to tune it, but I've made some changes as well, and it is quicker through the gears also. And for that, of course, you need the fully customized transmission. I've gone for an auto setting of 162 miles an hour, and then for the individual gears, 2.7, 1950, 1525, 1250, 1050, 900, and a final drive of 3.15. So that's it for the tuning, but now of course to show what it can actually do, let's take it out on the track. Now, as I already said, this car compares very well to the stock version. We're running the same tyres, the same power, the same weight, even the same downforce, so the stuff that I've changed is actually fairly minimal. I've tuned the suspension a bit, I've tuned the gearbox a bit, and that's it. Nothing else gives it any kind of advantage. I'm still using an automatic gearbox, no change there, and yet the difference in lap is a 145.778 for the stock version, and this one is a 145.101. So as I said, it's about 0.6 of a second, in fact more than 0.6 of a second quicker. That's a pretty big difference, and in a way this kind of harkens back to the tunes that I used to do in GT6, called sleeper spec, where I would typically take a road car and tune it in such a way that you couldn't tell that it was tuned, but make it like 5 or 10 seconds quicker. This is kind of like that, except that obviously on a track like this, you're not going to see 5 seconds difference. However, almost a second is still pretty damn good for a car like this, especially when it was already good to begin with. In terms of the handling and how to use this car, you might actually find it easier to drive with the stock setup, so if you are maybe more of a beginner to the game, or you're just less experienced and less confident, then you could absolutely go with the stock setup. It's already very good. If you want to push it hard though, and maybe have a little bit more finesse to the driving, then try this tune. This is not difficult to drive, but it does require a little bit more focus than the stock tune does. So overall, if you do decide to use it, I hope you enjoy it of course. If you want to check out my review for the car, I put that up earlier today, and until next time I'll see you then. So for now, as always, thanks for watching.